Food is right, the spirit's up. We're here tonight, and that's enough. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time. See, this isn't even louder. We gotta turn this up. Wonderful Christmas time. We could probably change the lyrics. Simply having a wonderful fantasy football time. Although in some ways, I guess we had a wonderful fantasy football time. That is right, my friends and fellow FTFLers. As soon as I get my phone to work here, it is I, Brett Sieber, host of the FTFL Weekly Update, owner of the Hulkamaniacs, and lest you all forget, the king of the FTFL, but not, however, the champ. I know you're probably thinking, wasn't that just kind of one and the same, Brett? Aren't the king and the champ the No, they're not. You can win a fantasy title. That's fine. That's dandy. Now, in fact, I did win a fantasy title in 2003. Alas, though, it isn't always all about winning. It's about ruling over others, which I, your king, have done almost all season here in the FTFL. But enough about me. It is Fantasy Bowl week. Let me get a swig of water. For my anti-Twins cup. That's right, that happened during our season. Fantasy Bowl is in the books. The third place game has happened. And the season has rapidly, just like that, come to a close. It was not that long ago on an August night. We sat at Sid Hagen's house while Swart was in a bathroom and then in a hotel restaurant while Eric kept complaining about having to go get something to eat. And then John sat there staring blankly into his computer. Even Andy, I don't remember if Andy, was he there? Was he not? Who knows? It was so long ago, and all of a sudden, with the blink of an eye, it is done. We're going to go over the games from this week. We are also going to have, by the way, still recovering, dealing with some things, but I'm here for it like always. Going to do a decent recap. Going to go team by team argument as to why they should be the 2017 recipient of the Decent Award. Lots and lots of really good cases to be made. And of course, when we wrap it up, when we say goodbye, 8 months. 8 months till we do it all again. Or will it be? But more on that later, Now, to the games. Third place pitted the Pack Attack versus the Mana three-time Lucky Pants champ Mana. And boy, oh boy, did the Lucky Pants get blown smooth off a Jeff Markser. Luck has ran out, and I think, by the way, didn't run out, it was stolen. I'll get to that in a moment. 108-61. What an absolute drubbing at the hands of the Pack Attack. Lamar Miller, Jarvis Landry, 4.5 points each. You're like, well, that's not a whole lot of points. No. Those were the two lows. Every single other person was in double digits, led by the Philly defense, who had 19. If you're Jeff Markser, Fournette, 11.5. LaShawn McCoy, 10.5. Jamal Williams, Marvin Jones, Adam Thielen, and Delaney Walker combined for 10 points. It was that kind of week. There just wasn't a whole lot of steam left, and I do believe that's because he played decent the week before, and more on that again in a moment. Markser takes home the fourth place champion. It was actually, I almost misspoke. It's not a championship unless you win your last game. We went over that last week. Markser ends up in fourth place. Eric, your third place trophy is probably in the mail. You'll get it soon. Enjoy it. One little thing I did find here interesting that has nothing to do with this game. Right, but why talk about? I'll explain. There was a team that missed the playoffs during a valiant last-ditch effort. Of course, we all know him as Sid Hagen, the boat folks. He acquired Todd Gurley late in the season. I don't know if anyone was paying attention to this because he's kind of out of the playoffs and it really didn't matter. Todd Gurley, over weeks 14, 15, and 16, fantasy playoff weeks, mind you, had Hagen somehow found his way in. Todd Gurley, over those 3 weeks, scored 102 points. Holy crap! Almost 300 on the year for a running back that is near unheard of, and John Linkowitz gave him away. Not for a first-round pick, mind you, that I offered him. No, I had a first and a second on the table. He took a couple seconds and a third. Man, I wish Bart was here to help us with the math on that one. Fun little nugget. Third place again went to Eric in the Pack Attack. On now to the big one, the dance. The one in which we celebrate, well, or at least acknowledge that he won the Fantasy Bowl. Going into this, I mean, I definitely noted how just lopsided and uneven this seemed. It was as if a one-legged man was heading into an ass-kicking contest. It was definitely, the matchup kind of felt like a one-handed person standing to help out with a standing ovation. Swart, you had a better chance of putting a piece of coal between your butt cheeks and having a diamond fall out. It just wasn't going to be in the cards, no matter what happens, no matter how much Deesum would have liked you to believe otherwise. Now, Deesum didn't really come out of this with a pile of points. As far as Fantasy Bowls goes, this is probably one of the more pathetic Fantasy Bowls we've had in quite some time. 71.5 for Ryan Deesum and his old, wrinkly, smelly, just putrid, awful, fuzzy with growth from who knows what, titties and balls. Taking on Adam Swartz, people of Middle Spunk Creek. Pomsk, 71.5 for Deesum, 49 for Pomsk, in what might go down as the most putrid Fantasy Bowl showing of all time. Mark Ingram, Julio Jones, 11.5 apiece. Alvin Kamara, 9.5, comes off the rookie keeper status, helps Deesum win, I guess somewhat, sort of, kind of. Some will argue, well, you probably could have won without him. Yeah, he probably could have, but he did the right thing. He played the numbers the right way. Michael Crabtree, his lone weapon, I guess, to counter the juggernaut that was not Swart's team. 0 points. 0 point. If you're Swart, oddly enough, led Kareem Hunt. 14 points. Much to say about Kareem Hunt all season long after those first few weeks. Did kind of find it late, but not enough in the end. Derek Carr got 12 points. The other 7 people on the team, now those 2 combined for 26. The other 7 combined for 23, and that includes Greg Zierlein and his broken back, 0 points. Thanks for nothing, Legatron. If you're Swart, this was your first loss in Fantasy Bowl history. You had previously won 2. You were going to be a 3-time champ to join Lucky Pants Mana, but you failed in your attempt. This was the first Fantasy Bowl in 4 seasons that did not include Andy's team. The Pit of Misery, Dilly Dilly. I found that fairly astonishing. Andy's team, lots of injuries early on, kind of fell off the charts. Congratulations, Ryan Deesum. Again, an amazing season. Yes, we've made fun of your name. I suggest a name change for next year. You should be Ryan Deesum, the Luck Thief. Why the Luck Thief? The Good Luck Thief, in fact. You beat Markser, one of the luckiest teams in the league. You beat Swart, one of the luckiest teams also in the league, and you stole an entire season from Andrew Luck. That is right, Ryan Deesum. You, in fact, are the Luck Thief. You used all of those voodoo magic witchcraft powers to get yourself a second title in just a few years. I believe in 3 years. Not bad, Ryan Deesum. And for you, I slow clap. But next, on to your namesake, the Deesum Award, and really the roundup for the season. But before we get to that, the Log Cabin Pizza commercial, as provocative, as questionable, as just kind of, what are they putting in that pizza? Kind of feeling it gave you, it grabbed some attention because yes, oh yes, we have now our second sponsor of the FTFL Weekly Update, and we are going to go now to that brand new sponsor. Take it away. Where I put that thing in here? Oh, hey, how's it going? It's Bart. It's Bert. Bert from Barville. I'm just sorry I'm not very camera friendly. I was correcting some tests and the eraser popped off my pencil, bumped smooth up into my eye, and the doctor says it's gonna be all right. It's gonna take a couple days to heal. Now, I have this awesome opportunity for you. If you have children that you aren't thinking they're doing all that great in math at school, you can come to Berts Math Tutoring School, where we'll get your kids to learn how to count, and we'll use things like fingers and toes and all them things that are really fancy, highfalutin technologies to get your kid on the right track. Because remember, at Berts Tutoring School, we can always count to 4 just by you. Or 4. Well, we're going to count. So I'll see you all at the tutoring school. Goodbye. Wow, that guy was really something. There was something about him that, gosh, I just couldn't quite place a finger on it as to. He seemed familiar, but I don't know. But I'm telling you what, if I got a kid who needs math help, I'm sending him to Bert up in Browerville. You know what? All right, so here we go. Ryan Deesum, you won the title. Ryan Deesum, your name is on the seat. And boy, this year we had a lot of repeat offenders. We're going to run through team by team the Deesum kind of final update as we look at this and talk about this going now 8 months from now at the draft. And who knows, we'll be there. Probably not Linkowitz, probably not my brother, maybe Eric. Lots to talk about, but I digress. We'll start from the top. We'll work our way all the way down to the dregs of the bottom. Number 1, Ryan Deesum, I kind of feel you're exempt. Had you not played Kamara and had you lost in the Fantasy Bowl, maybe that would have warranted a nomination, but you won. It's kind of tough to give the seat to the person that wins the league. So for this year, you are safe. Adam Swart, second place finish. Not bad. You don't get a trophy for second place because you didn't win. It's not a second place championship. Second place failure. As my good friend Ricky Bobby once said, if you're not first, you're last. Adam Swart, early on in the season, the Kareem Hunt trade really dominated, I would say, the middle part of the season. Kind of slowly came around, obviously won the division at the end, but there was a lot of speculation. Had you not won, wait, you didn't win. You gave up a first, you gave up a second. Will that come back to haunt? And not only will that haunt next year, your failure to be prepared this year. Like, you were all in kind of in some way. You're like, I'm giving up future assets. I've got it all figured out. I've got all my bases covered. Until you didn't. You didn't have a second kicker. Whatever money you got for second place, which is more than most years thanks to Sid Hagen, take $5 of it and send it on back. I don't know if that's $5 that gets to yourself or how that works. It's weird. Hey, call Bert. He can help. But your failure to have 2 of every position, I know it seems weird, and I know the rule maybe isn't the fairest, but other people prepared, other people were ready. You were not, and in the end, it cost you. Would a kicker have made the difference? No, but it wouldn't have cost you $5. There goes your morning Starbucks. Eric, man, we made a vow at this year's draft that we were somehow, some way going to get Eric on the seat. And I suggested somewhere this season that just be league-wide inability to remember where we've been with regard to the seat, that because we're all in this together, let's give ourselves, the league, the award. I think that might be Eric's only chance. There wasn't a whole lot there. Even when he didn't have Rob Gronkowski, he still had a backup, Adam Swart. That came through for him. Third place, not bad. You get a trophy and a few bucks. Eric is probably going to have to wait till next year. Jeff, maybe the Antonio Brown trade in the desperation of McCoy did help your team. You did take, I guess, somewhat kind of sort of second place in the division. And I don't know. He did come back to beat you. Antonio Brown did for the division, by the way. It was a desperation move. Don't worry, that risk guard is in the mail for David Johnson next year to keep him healthy so you can avoid having to give away franchise players like Antonio Brown. Although, Swartz seems to be a fan of McCoy, so maybe you could trade him back to him and then get Brown in return. Matt. Matt is up next. Matt, of course, is on the seat. In his very short tenure here in the league, he has already been on the seat. Let's see here. I'm just for record's sake, 2013, 2014. Did he get? Where's 2000? No, that's me. 2011. Where's 2000? Nope. All right. So in his few short years, it was just 13 and 14. It's been a couple though, and it was seemingly going around swimmingly until you didn't enter lineups, until you didn't have complete lineups. You played Kelvin Benjamin, even though I wasn't going to play. You dropped your kicker and didn't have one, and you won the 5th place game. But you just gotta get stuff in on time. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. And you were on here for it. I don't think you're going to win again this year because the next few folks really, I think, have this on lock. Next up is me. You gave me it for trading away a 2nd-round pick for Drew Brees. I gave up a 2nd and a 4th of Jordan Howard. That should all but guarantee me at least a share of the Deesum title if we go off precedent that was set by Joe Hagen, you bum. You're not even in the league anymore, but you're the one that cost me that name on there. You suck, Joe Hagen. You suck. Yeah, I don't know. Beyond that, injuries, of course, Aaron Rodgers was the biggest one. I did have Carson Wentz, but that proves my point. I had the best player in fantasy football sitting on my bench going forward from that injury, and I still couldn't win. Why? Why? Not because my team wasn't any good. It's because I didn't have any luck. I did play decent earlier in the season. Maybe he stole my luck then. Thanks a lot, luck thief. Andy, I guess drafting players that got injured, maybe. I mean, now, let's be honest. I did just mention you were in the 3 previous Fantasy Bowls, so somewhat of a step back was probably due. Didn't really weather the storm early. Were unable to get it done. You did acquire some nice players and some picks, so maybe next year's looking up. I don't have anything in particular for you, but again, I don't really think it matters. I think the next 3 are probably the ones heading into the clubhouse with at least a share of the lead. First off, Sid Hagen. We'll start with the wrong Jimmy. You mishandled your Jimmy early in the season, and it took you weeks to finally get yourself back on track. During that time, you acquired a bunch of picks as the boat began to sink. And then all of a sudden, you found something to plug the hole in the boat. Maybe it was the right Jimmy. I don't know. But the boat began to rise. You got rid of all your picks, sold the farm, and then you didn't make the playoffs. Anyways, add on top of that your league high for spending this year. I mean, just an absolute, that formula, that equation, I guarantee if we asked Bert, he would probably give us the same answers. Really a strong candidacy for the 2017 DSM Award. Just all over the place. Incompetent. Saltmarsh. You went all season with 16 guys. You could have had 17, but you thought, you know what, no, I got this with 16, and then you didn't. You traded low. You sold low on Michael Thomas and Melvin Gordon. We kind of felt you didn't get enough in return for them, and then you turned around and gave up a second for Tyreek Hill. Now, Tyreek Hill had a couple nice games down the stretch. I don't think Tyreek Hill is a keeper, and I don't think you're going to get a second-round pick for someone else to keep Tyreek Hill. I don't know what that trade was all about. A fairly strong candidacy. I still think, though, it is between Sid and the next guy. Of course, Mr. Linkowitz, I'm looking at you. You lost 11 in a row. You haven't won for almost 3 months. You're going to go through 8 months of waiting. It might be an entire year before you win a game in fantasy football. Now, I look back, you were in the Fantasy Bowl in 2008, you were in the Fantasy Bowl in 2010, and then the train jumped smooth off the tracks and plunged thousands of feet into the gorge below into a fiery ball of flames. That's right, a fiery ball of flames. Totally in the wrong direction. Your 3-year mark of futility is unheard of, like 13% or whatever it is, winning percentage. You traded away Todd Gurley, like the one bright spot you had. You traded him away. He's gone. I don't know if you were paying attention earlier, if you got into this late. 102 points during the playoff run for Todd Gurley. 102! But he's not your problem anymore, John. He's not your problem anymore. That wraps up the roundup for the DSM Award. Real quick here, we're going to get out of here. The stud, the dud, the DSM, and then we're going to wind this thing down. Stud of the week. Not your typical stud. We really didn't have anyone that stood out. There wasn't anyone that scored more than 19 points this week in a third place or Fantasy Bowl game. I'm giving this to Jay Ajayi. He only had 11 points. But it was the second double-digit game of the year and his second highest score of the season. Remember, way back, Eric took Jay Ajayi with the first pick. Thank you, Eric, for not taking A.J. Green, although I didn't really use Green to my whatever. You needed a big output. You got it. You took third place. You get the trophy. You get some bucks. Jay Ajayi, stud of the week. Dud of the week, Swart's entire team that scored a Fantasy Bowl low 49 points. How do you get to the Fantasy Bowl and score 49 points? I'll tell you how. Luck. But when you got there, what happened? The luck thief stole it. He stole it just like he stole everyone else's luck. Swart, your team, an entire team, is the dud of the week. And for the last DSM update of the year, your failure to be prepared. Yeah, you can't prepare for an Antonio Brown injury. I get it. Yeah, you can't prepare for a Rex Burkhead injury. I get it. You didn't have another kicker. not only another kicker, but you let go of one of your absolute best fans. Not let go. One of your best fantasy players was taken from you, and you had nothing to fill the hole with. Maybe see Sid. He might have an extra Jimmy lying around. That'll do it. But oh wait, that won't do it. That's right, it is week 17. So you know what that is? It is bowl week. It is Coach Give Me One More Chance bowl week. And earlier today, the gauntlet was laid down by Mr. Linkowitz and his 11-game losing streak. He wants to end it now. He doesn't want 8 months of sitting around and waiting. Well, I accept your challenge, John, and the 8 months, whether you like it or not, is gonna have to be. You're gonna get whooped. I hope other people challenge others in this. Nobody challenged Swart. He doesn't have a complete lineup. It'll be $5 more off of his already paltry second place winnings. Just let him sulk. Don't challenge him. It's not worth the $5, Swart. Just keep your pride. Let it stay intact. But others, man, let's load up the slate. The Give Me One More Chance Bowl is in full effect. And with that, I will sign off for this week. Not the last FTFL Weekly Update of the year. I believe we'll come back one more time to see just how the Give Me One More Chance Bowl went. And until then, keep having a wonderful Christmas time. This is Brett. We'll see you next time. Peace.